Ridwaan Moolla, CEO of ThinkMarkets, joins us this afternoon to unpack those movements. Ridwaan, when you and I were talking offline a little earlier, you said that the market is doing everything that it's not supposed to be doing at the moment. What exactly did you mean by that? I mean, the staggering fall in the rand that we saw following that announcement, but also the healthy recovery we saw after concerns around the United States' debt ceiling negotiations and whether they're going to default in about 7 days or so. Different kind of trading day for market participants today.
So, yeah, thanks. It's literally you have a 50 basis points increase in your repo rate, and that shouldn't take the currency to over 2% weaker against the USD. It really should not happen. That is just, it's like we say in our industry, these things are not normal. And I mean, with that, obviously, I wish the Reserve Bank governor had actually had a graph of the JSE as well as the rand next to him when he was making his announcement, because it was literally with that announcement we saw the rand plummet, we saw the JSE suddenly shooting up as well. But that was obviously mostly because with the rand being weaker, your rand hedge companies are seeing green, your gold, resources, diversified miners would also get a bit up, would be uplifted. But overall, the all share index looking good, but we had some big downsides for companies like Life Healthcare, down 7%, Telkom even down 5.5%. And like you just said earlier, with regard to the US, well, the S&P and the Nasdaq are green. The Dow Jones is slightly red at the moment, but they're all doing perfectly fine.
They are indeed. And before we get to those company updates, I must ask you about the aggressive nature at which the SARB is approaching interest rates. We have started to see somewhat of a tapering down from the Federal Reserve, some of the European central banks as well. But Lesedi Kganyago, our governor, really just keeping on with this aggressive stance that he has. And I'm wondering about the short to the medium-term economic outlook, because this is going to continue to put immense pressure on major industry and also households.
It is definitely going to do that. I mean, we've got inflation currently. It came out at what, 6.8% last month. So it's been coming down. 50 basis points was the last increase when we all expected 25. This time around, we thought, well, you've used it. You've used a bit of a lifeline by doing the 50 last month. 25 would be, acceptable. 50 yet again, and this is going to hurt households. I mean, it's going to cost you in every single way, because remember, a lot of companies also use debt from financing, like you spoke about earlier with regards to farmers. Farmers need loans and all of these things. Now, the only way they're going to be able to pay back on these loans, if they can get them, is obviously to increase prices. And that's going to mean, yet again, food prices are going to be up well over 14%. It's going to continue. So for me, yes, you're saying that in the long term, we'll see the benefit. Problem right now is South Africans are impacted by load shedding. We're impacted by now interest rate hikes, which is really and truly at the highest levels we've seen ever. And where exactly then do South Africans in the medium term, especially short to medium term, where do we see any relief? And that is the big concern.
Yeah, indeed. Before I let you go, Ridwaan, quickly on Life Healthcare, them releasing their numbers today. Interestingly, net profit for the period was down, but they still gave investors a dividend. And one is wondering why, when you're seeing the operating environment that you are in, but also the numbers that are coming in.
So I think the dividend, remember, wasn't actually from profits. So it's almost like they've said, well, if we don't give a dividend, we may, people may even look at it even more negatively. But they did pay a dividend, wasn't the best results. It was okay. And the share, well, at the end of the day, investors said, well, sorry, this isn't good enough. I mean, the share is down 7% today. So as much as they tried it, I think they were hoping that it wouldn't impact the share price as much as it did if they were to pay a dividend. Unfortunately, that didn't help.
No, absolutely. And we did speak to Life Healthcare, and we'll bring our viewers that conversation a little later on. Ridwaan, as always, thank you very much for joining us this evening. That is Ridwaan Moolla, the CEO of ThinkMarkets. And that's all we